Miller Mahdi from 8451 here. Welcome to another episode of The Uplow'd. We're glad you're here. Each month we dig into the world of AI, thick data, machine learning, data science. We invite you to stick around and let us know what you think. Keep an open mind and stay curious.
Welcome to The Uplow'd. I'm your host, Dan O'Keefe. On today's episode, we're talking with Jeanette Mumbeck and Grant Gilkerson. Welcome to The Uplow'd, guys.
Hey, thank you. It's good to be here.
Great to have you guys here. For those viewing today's episode on our YouTube channel, you might notice that our show looks a bit different today. That's because we're practicing social distancing and following all of the rules and recommendations from our various authorities and recording this episode virtually. So using the wonders of modern technology, we welcome you into our Uplow'd living rooms, right? Jeanette and Grant, hopefully you're staying home and staying healthy and safe with your families. How is 8451 handling work during the COVID-19 crisis?
So we are all working from home except for personnel deemed essential. Since we have a very flexible work from home policy to begin with, we are very fortunate to have all the technological collaborations in place to make sure, tools in place to make sure that that we are productive during the time from working from home.
Yeah, that's right. The thing I'll add is I think we're also lucky that Jeanette and I are data scientists, and certainly data scientists can arguably do their job anywhere, whether that be in an office, a coffee shop, or certainly at our homes. Yeah, like we are now.
And I could say the same for my role as well. We're fortunate that have laptop and Wi-Fi. We can work from pretty much anywhere. So I will say there are a lot of folks out there not as fortunate, and certainly a lot of folks out there not able to be home safe and sound as we are. So our best thoughts go out to those folks who are working hard on the front lines. So let's get started. For starters, could you tell us about your backgrounds and your current roles at 8451? Jeanette, let's start with you.
Oh, absolutely. So my background is in computer science, mathematics, and applied mathematics. And interesting enough, I've spent the majority of my career working in some kind of retail, apparel, jewelry, and in recent years, of course, grocery retail. So at 8451, I am the manager for the science function. We are a group dedicated to providing long-term research across a number of disciplines: forecasting, optimization, and machine learning. My primary responsibilities is to ensure that we have strategic roadmaps in place and that we execute on those, as well as integrating our scientific capabilities into the business.
Great. And Grant?
So my background is in economics from educational, but I've been working in the kind of applied data analytics field for a long time now. I won't say how many years, but it's a number of them. And I'm currently at 8451. I lead a team of a little bit over 20 data scientists that focus on helping Kroger's fastly growing e-commerce business. We have two parts of our team. One part of our team is a team of data scientists that build recommender systems that personalize content that customers interact with on Kroger's website, mobile app, very much for the purpose of helping our customers find the items that they want to purchase, the grocery items that they want to purchase. But we also are personalizing content such as coupons, substitutes, complements, recipes, a variety of things. But then we also have a part of our team of data scientists that help Kroger with traditional business insights. So how can we better understand our customers so that we can service them better?
Gotcha. You touched on, Grant, personalization a bit in your role description. And that's to some degree where we're going with today's topic, which is about algorithm fairness, right? So Kroger welcomes into all of its stores a diverse mix of consumer and customer. So when we talk about that diversity, I think we're getting into how we as data scientists address algorithm fairness, correct?
Correct.
Great. So let's talk about that. Jeanette, why is algorithm fairness something we need to worry about?
As an individual, we live in an automated world today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Algorithms are ingrained in so many aspects of our lives, like your credit score, whether you get a loan or not, the ads and content that's being served up to you when you're on the internet. Even using it to predict disease and outcomes. And Kroger is really no different, because if you think about Kroger, who has thousands of stores across North America with tens of thousands of products per store, we interact with millions of customers on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And as a result, we use science to make decisions at scale. We determine the price of a product, which product should go on promotion when, which assortments should be put in the store based on customers' preferences and their location. And, we are a customer-first company. And to stay true to that promise, we really need to make sure we make these decisions in a fair way.
Right. And Grant, can you explain why we need to worry about fairness in something that's essentially a computer program, right? Shouldn't the default be fairness and lack of bias?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's a big of a complex question. So yes, that algorithms in and of themselves aren't just naturally biased. In fact, the reason why we use algorithms, there are actually a few really good reasons. Jeanette mentioned one for scale. So as I kind of mentioned, the team that I help with, we are making millions of content recommendations for our customers each and every day, which would be really impossible to do without the use of algorithms. Algorithms also, we know, for some tasks can be much more accurate than when left alone for humans to determine or to decision. And then the other area that is quite beneficial for algorithms is that they're consistent. Is that algorithms don't have bad days like individuals do, like everybody does. The algorithms don't get hungry, or they don't get tired, or they aren't driven perhaps by their emotions. So kind of to begin with, there are very good reasons why we do use algorithms. But yes, as you kind of mentioned, we have to be aware that bias can creep into our algorithms, which can result in unfair decisionings and potentially harmful results to the individuals that they're being applied to. And the reason why this is the case, the reason why bias can say enter into the results of an algorithm, there are really a number of reasons, and I'll touch on a few. But broadly, it's either probably because of the data that's being fed into an algorithm, or it could be the data scientist or the human that is building that algorithm. So from a data perspective, data, you have to have data, especially in this world of building machine learning algorithms or natural language processing type algorithms. These are data hungry types of things that the more data you feed into them, the typically the better they are in producing accurate decisions or results. But data can be biased by itself, and it can be biased. One, it can be biased because of historical biases. So data can reflect the historical or societal biases that we have. It can reflect perhaps biased decision making by individuals in the past, and we've seen because of the data that the biases essentially get embedded in that then get reproduced in the actual results of the algorithm once trained on the data. Another reason that from the data standpoint that can be biased is what's known as representational bias. Is that we know that when we think about different groups of or classes of individuals, that for some types of data, some groups of individuals can be underrepresented within that data. Hence, when you're building a model on top of that, the underrepresentation, you're essentially building that model that really reflects the majority, which can be often the case of it. It could be Caucasian or higher income, because lower income or more perhaps minority demographics can tend to be underrepresented in certain types of data.
Gotcha.
And then the other reason that, or another possibility where bias can creep into the algorithm, is something that's we refer to as measurement bias. When we're training algorithms, whether that be like a machine learning algorithms, very often we're training that algorithm on a specific outcome, like a desired outcome. So for like 8451, we have a number of models that attempt to predict or explain whether or not somebody's will redeem a coupon if we send it to them. In some applications, that the desired outcome, whether or not somebody redeems a coupon, sometimes you can't find a true outcome to represent that desired outcome. So the actual outcome that you're using to train a model on doesn't well represent the actual outcome that you care about. And kind of an example of this measurement bias came out, made the news back in the fall, where a healthcare provider had built a algorithm that was being used to score on patients for the purpose of figuring out which patients need additional medical treatment. These are, in other words, this model was meant to say which of our patients are perhaps a little bit sicker and need that additional care. So the desired outcome really is we want a model to figure out which of those patients actually will benefit from this additional care. Now that model was actually trained on an outcome of which patients had higher medical costs. So it was almost like, so in other words, that was known as a proxy outcome for the actual outcome that they desired. And when they started studying the results and impact of that model, they saw that African Americans who typically have lower medical costs, at least compared to Caucasians, were essentially getting undertreated again because of the way that that outcome was established. So again, that's another way that the bias can creep in. But then that's really covering the data. We also have to recognize the other aspect where bias can creep in is that data scientists themselves. As a data scientist, I've built a number of algorithmic models in my career, and I can tell you that I as a data scientist and other data scientists like me, we make a number of decisions through that model development process, and so my own biases can influence the decisions that I'm making there. And so in terms of how do we confront that, it's like we need to be cognizant as data scientists that we all have biases. And when we think about the decisions we're making along the way, is really keeping that in mind.
So the human factor does contribute to that. And then within the data itself, there's that implicit bias that could result from any number of factors.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's the big lesson or maybe takeaway here is that there's just not one place that bias can creep in. It really can creep in a number of places. And when you think about making sure that your models are fair or produce fair outcomes, it really does mean you have to really understand your data. But then it's almost like getting different perspectives, I think, is also important. A diversity of perspectives, not just relying perhaps on your own intuition or judgment, is really just thinking like, I have a decision to make that really will shape the final product or the model that I'm building, how do I bring in a more diverse set of opinions on the path that I'm looking to take here?
Gotcha. Well, so you both obviously are very familiar and focused on algorithm fairness. Jeanette, can you tell us how the Algorithm Fairness Initiative at 8451 started? What was it like getting the program started, and what steps did the company take?
Oh, absolutely. So this was born out of a broader initiative company-wide around diversity and inclusion. D&I is something that we as an organization is super passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And we as a team are very fortunate to have received tremendous support from our senior leadership for this. So we decided to take a multi-year approach, year one being around awareness and education, and then the second year around execution. So last year we created a partnership with the University of Wisconsin-Madison, their computer sciences department.
Right.
Professors Aus Arbaguti and Professor Loris D'Antoni. Their research is actually focused on automated systems and verification of programs, most recently with an eye on social sensitive programs, including fair decision making. So towards the end of last year, we had a couple of company-wide workshops to create awareness and training, and those were extremely well received. The resounding response from attendees were, "I love this. I'm so proud to work for a company that's willing to invest in this. How can I help?"
That's great. So, Grant, following up on that, what are some of the actions that, now that the initiative is in place, that 8451 is taking to ensure fairness?
Yeah, so what we're focused on currently, and we'll be focused on this, going forward, at least for perhaps the next 6 months or so, is what we're trying to do now is really integrate the process of checking the models, having our data scientists check the models that they're building for bias. When you're building a model, think about that model in consideration to how it's going to be used, the decisions that it will be making on the behalf of our customers, how that model will impact our customers, and think about areas of potential harm that could come to our customers if that model is biased or is producing unfair results. So we're focused on kind of almost like re-educating our data scientists. And I say re-educating or maybe educating because data scientists, by training, either through their formal education or perhaps an apprenticeship that they did, or just maybe their first couple years of experience as a data scientist, that you're not really trained to think about your model producing unfair results. At least not perhaps in the last several years. It has become a much bigger topic that people are talking about. The data science community is talking about. But what we'd like to have, we really want all of our data scientists at 8451, when they're building models, is really that checking the models for bias and thinking about fairness, and then correcting the models if they are potentially biased. We really want to make that as just a part of our day-to-day job, or really a part of the what our normal data science life cycle.
Gotcha. Great. And expanding on that, Jeanette, how would you compare the progress 8451 has made around algorithm fairness to the industry as a whole?
So I think there's certainly an increasing awareness and focus on the subject. I mean, we are seeing large tech creating products in this space, and there's definitely a marked increase in academic programs that now will offer fairness and ethics as part of their curriculum. I do believe that we, as an organization, are leading the industry here. Great. We are obsessed with our customer, and in order for us to stay true to that promise, We absolutely need to make sure that we are fair in our decision making. To quote our COO Millen, this is for us, this is not just an extra step. It is simply the way we do our work.
Yep. Good point. And it's something that I think expands across the entire enterprise, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Grant, we'll come back to you. What's the future of 8451's algorithm fairness mission?
Yeah, well, I'll just kind of build a little bit on what Jeanette just said. We want to lead the industry on this issue, and the reason why, I echo also what Jeanette said a few minutes ago, is that our company. It's really great to work for a company that cares about an issue like this. When you think about if I correcting a model for perhaps an issue of bias, what's often going to result is you're going to have to forsake a little bit of the precision of that or the accuracy of that model. To make it more fair is going to come at the cost of accuracy. But we work for a company, 8451. We have business leaders that are okay with that, and because of the importance of this issue. And so very much where the future of what algorithmic fairness is for 8451 is really leading our industry. We think that this is an important enough issue where we've made it a corporate priority, and we are happy and we want to work with other retailers, other consumer packaged good companies that also are using algorithms to help them along the same journey, because we recognize that we can do our part. But if we really are wanting to solve or really help with this issue of fairness, it's going to be a collective effort, and we really want to lead the way in this.
That's fantastic. That 8451 is taking that leadership role. So the next question goes to both of you. And Jeanette, we'll stay with our current format and have you answer first, if you don't mind. Are there any tips you'd give to data scientists watching or listening to the Upload today to help them avoid bias as they create their algorithms?
So I would say, first and foremost, be aware of how the output of your model will be used down the line, because that has a huge impact on how you're going to determine how you will assess your model for bias. I would say stay abreast of new techniques. Certainly, that's an area of focus for many academic institutions at the moment. And lastly, I say create a community. Share what you learn and learn yourself as things evolve in this space.
Great. And Grant?
Yes. Know your data. So when I say know your data, just don't assume things about your data. Really figure out, like, how was your data created? What are the gaps and limitations? Because that's going to help you to begin to understand, is there potential bias embedded in this that I need to be aware of? The other one is that one of the things that we have found in our journey thus far is that there's probably not a silver bullet that's going to solve this aspect of fairness for each and every algorithm. In fact, yes, there probably are some areas where you can come up with a generalizable approach, say, for example, like binary classifiers. But even then, how you check your model for fairness and then what you do to fix that potential issue of bias will sometimes just depend on the application or the use case as well as just that model. And then lastly, and I've mentioned this earlier, is that we as data scientists just all need to recognize that we're all biased. In fact, all humans are biased, and recognizing that we're all biased and that bias can creep into our decisions, I think it's a very first step to begin addressing this topic.
And I think a great way to kind of close out that conversation, it's a lesson for all of us, right? Whether we're data scientists or whatever our roles might be, just be aware that our personal biases can seep their way into our work, and we can't allow that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, I appreciate both of you helping us understand algorithm fairness a little bit better. And now, in a completely unfair portion of today's podcast, I get to ask you guys some really challenging personal questions that might make you chuckle a little bit, I hope. It is time for the 8451 lightning round, where we ask you, our guests, a series of 8 random questions for 51 seconds. Jeanette and Grant, are you ready?
Yes.
I guess.
And I'm a timekeeper today, so fair warning. Jeanette, what's your favorite mode of travel?
Plane.
All right. Grant, if you could only have one movie to watch in coronavirus quarantine, what would it be?
Shawshank Redemption.
Great one. Jeanette, what's the first question most people ask when you tell them what you do?
Why did I not get a coupon for that?
I like that. Grant, besides data science, what else would you like to be an expert in?
Oh, I would love to be a chef.
All right. I like that as well. Jeanette, have you ever learned a foreign language?
Yes. German.
All right. Grant, what's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Learn something new every day.
Great advice. Jeanette, what aspect about your job energizes you the most?
The people. Creative, innovative. Love it.
Fantastic. And Grant, finally, what's your proudest moment?
Oh, tough question, but it's an easy answer. Becoming a father.
I love it. Love it. Great answers. Guys, we went a little bit over the 51, but we those are passionate answers, and that's what matters. And we learned a lot more about each of you. And I just want to say thank you very much for being with us, not only in general, but on today's episode, which was a new one for all of us. And I wish you continued safety and wellness, you and your families. Thanks to Jeanette Mumbeck and Grant Gilkerson for being our guests today. I'm your host, Dan O'Keefe, hoping everyone out there is staying safe and healthy. And we'll see you next time on The Upload.
Millen here. That's it for this month's episode of The Upload. We hope you enjoyed it and hopefully learned something new. Remember to give us a like and share your feedback. Until next month, stay curious.